Hi everyone, Dr. R again, talking about some epidemiologic questions. So let's dive in. What about the lead-in? Can I answer that question just by the lead-in? The answer is no, so I'm going to have to go up to the question stem. Looking at the question answer options, these are all different kinds of studies. So let's dive in. A pharmaceutical company is interested in testing the effectiveness, love this, the effectiveness of a new drug for treating high blood pressure. So then there's going to be a new drug and a placebo. You can see that right here. So let's draw those out real quick. So there is the new drug, and then there is the placebo. The company recruits 500 people with high blood pressure and randomly assigns them. So 500 with high BP, and randomly assigns them to receive either the new drug or the placebo. So how many people should end up in each group? There should be what, 250 and 250 if they are randomly assigned. They do have high blood pressure, and we're trying to figure out whether the new drug is better than a placebo. So we could also have the gold standard drug and a new drug. You can imagine that some people get a drug for high blood pressure, and we might want to have a new drug that a pharmaceutical company created. So that's another option of how this could be designed. And you might hear that there might be a gold standard drug or an existing drug, and then we want to test against the new drug. So this is the control, this is the experimental group. You have to remember, the control is not always a placebo, but the control can actually be an existing drug, but the experimental is the new thing. So we're trying to see if the new thing is different. All right, the participants are monitored for 6 months. So that's over time, right? So we're going to now talk about they're monitored for 6 months to determine the effect of the drug on their blood pressure. So what does their BP look like after 6 months? Because they all started with high BP. And the hope is that their BP goes down. That's the hope. So what type of study design is this? Is this a case control? So remember, case control, we start with people with the disease. Did we start with people with the disease? Actually, we did. They had high blood pressure. Right? So these are the cases. But then did we choose the controls? No, we didn't choose the controls. The controls actually came out of the same people with the high blood pressure. Right? So these all had high BP. So that right there actually throws everything off, because remember, these are positive with the disease and these are negative with the disease, and these both have high blood pressure. That's not the purpose of a case control of this study. That is the purpose of a case control. So, and also we look at retrospectively, right? In the past, we look at here we are now at a point in time. The data was actually collected back here at a point in time. So retrospectively, we're looking at the data there. Okay, we didn't. We looked prospectively, right? Here we are. We followed them over time. So this is where we are in time, and we followed them over time. So that is not the right one. Cohort study. Did we start with people who did not have the disease? Oops. No, we didn't. So cohort study is not going to work for this, because they need to be initially free of disease, and then we determine the incidence or the risk of developing the disease over time, right? So a cohort study, they don't have the disease, so no disease, and then we follow them over time, and next thing you know, we end up getting people with the disease. And this ends up being the incidence, right? Because the incidence is new cases over those at risk. And the new cases would be these right here, so that would go into the numerator. And this total population here are the ones that are at risk, and that would be the denominator. Hopefully I said numerator, and this is denominator. So hopefully that makes sense. So cohort is not going to work. Crossover. Did we cross over? We started with two groups, right? We had two groups here, the experimental and the control. Then we collect data on them. And then we have a washout period. I don't hear anything about a washout period. And then we switch these two groups over to experimental and control. And then we collect data on them again, and then we compare these two. I don't hear any of that happening. So the crossover doesn't work. Cross-sectional. Was this at a specific point in time? Right? So did we collect data at a specific point in time? No, because we look prospectively over 6 months. So cross-sectional does not work. Did we randomize? The answer is yes. Did we look over time? The answer is yes. Are we trying to compare an outcome? The answer is yes. So this is the most likely answer for this question.